Yep.
Hey Rob, how's it going? It's nice to meet you.
Yeah, hi everyone. Happy Tuesday. I call every day
Yeah.
Friday, right? Every day is Friday. That makes
No,
you
I love
happy.
that mindset. It makes it go quicker. Treat every day like
Absolutely.
Friday and it'll be a good day. We're super excited to have you here today. For everybody who doesn't know Rob, he is an Army vet who, after spent over a decade in the law enforcement space. After that, he kind of moved into the executive leadership and business area. And now he's grown to be the president of A3 Visuals. So I'm super excited to have you here. Start me from the beginning. How was your career in the Army? Tell us about how that went in your transition.
Yeah, it's to start off, you never know where life's going to take you at the end of the day, and you just have to have a truly open mind and a flexible outlook on what things, how you want it to pan out for you guys. Starting in the military at 18 years old, didn't know if I wanted to go to college. Figured that I can go to college in the military. I can go to college after the military, which I did afterwards. But I had to, find myself. So I went into the military. As my dad was either you're gonna do this or you're gonna go into trades. Maybe I should win a trades. Probably be making a lot more money at the end of the day. A little piece of advice for you, and less injuries. But our family served in the military for since the day I can remember. So I went in the military, went in the army. Started my first enlistment with the Army Rangers in Fort Lewis at Second Bat, and then I was like, what am I gonna do? Re-enlisted. Said, oh, I don't want to be a ground pounder anymore. I'm tired of jumping out of planes, getting broken, and body feeling achy. So I said, let me just go military police, see if I can transition to a skill out
Mhm.
inside the real world. Uh, my second enlistment did that, and I got out after 7 years, and I landed in law enforcement. Total of 17 years through county law enforcement, and then went to local PD. Did everything from A to Z, from basic patrol to investigations to narcotics to UC work, controlled informants, and worked with DEA and so forth and so on. And then I was like, I'm tired of doing this. Life's getting a little bit crazy. Law
Mhm.
enforcement job and profession is incredible. I have a lot of friends throughout that network, through local and federal agencies that I still connect with. But then again, it was just one of those career choices and this is where I would really emphasize for everyone, you don't have to be stuck doing something. You can change careers, you can change professions. You have to mold what's best for you and your family and your own personal and professional goals at the end of the day. um, I know it just so happened I was tagged by Sega Sammy in Japan to help with their overseas expansion for as a promoter. I started there for a few months on the side while still in law enforcement, and then they gave me an offer I couldn't refuse, and I went over to work with them full time for almost 7 years, and that's where I basically got all my corporate acumen and learning from. I was taken under the wings and had an opportunity to learn under the senior leadership. And then I ran North America operations for almost 6 years as the CEO over there. And then I wanted to transition again. It's like, what do I do? So, and I didn't, and as many of you will face, I think you're going to find a moment like, how the hell do I actually transition? How the heck do I do this? Where do I even start? um, and I was in that crossroads. I had a lot of professions, a lot of very successful career paths, but I never wrote a resume. So that's where I actually linked up with Seven Eagle Group, and Jordy was that was almost 8 years, over 8 years ago now.
Don't tell him that you never did a resume, Rob. That goes against
Hey,
the mission
I
here.
I know this is why I'm telling you. This is why it's important to work with people, at Seven Eagle Group and Tyler and everybody you got here. It's incredible. Life lessons is. I was very fortunate. I say this because I was very fortunate to be able to meet the right people in the right
Mhm.
place at the right time, and have confidence in my abilities and what I can offer to the organization, and transfer my military skills, and not have, typical jargon in terms of what your MOS, et cetera, et cetera. It's like, no, people don't understand that. They want to know what you can do, what you've done, and how does that translate to helping them. And then Jordy connected me with this group here. They were looking for executive leadership. And this is one, again, another life lesson is like, you don't know what you're going to be able to do unless you're willing to maybe take a chance. My wife at the time, my wife, still currently my wife, not at the time. Let me rephrase that. My wife was like, "You're going from an executive leadership position in a publicly traded company, and now you're going to go to work for FedEx Kinko's. What are you doing?" Our company name has transitioned over the years. We used to be AAA Flag and Banner, phone books, and etc. 54-year-old family-owned business. But it's just a feeling, I had. And this was my personal growth that I need to do. I've done A to Z basically. I need to check some more boxes, and I'm always looking for personal development and career development on my own, and you know, e- enriching my own knowledge about different aspects of the world and how people work in operations and business. And it's just something that clicked where I was like, you know what? I think there's something here I have no clue what this company does, but I knew what I learned throughout my military career and then transitioning and taking all my foundational steps and teachings that from there transitioning into law enforcement and into the corporate world, that all those make sense to a business and to hiring organizations. And you just need to be able to articulate how you're going to be able to help them. But more importantly, you've got to also think about, it's not how do I mold to the company I want to go to, it's how can the company mold to what I need to do as a person and as a professional, and also take care of myself and my family. So I took the leap of faith, and after a year, I was made director. And then after 6 years, the board interviewed me as they were looking for a president position, as our founder stepped down from the CEO, and his son Craig first took over, and they wanted somebody to be at the helm with them. So they they selected me, and I've been in this position for just over almost a year and a half now. So that's kind of a brief Reader's Digest of where we're at. So
Yeah,
let the
no, that
questions
was
rip.
that was so much history in just a little 10-minute spiel. That's amazing. From somebody who was law enforcement myself and come from a law enforcement family, that's so amazing that you were able to do that for 17 years. What gave you the kind of the strength to change after that? 17 years is a long time after having a career in the military and then having a whole nother career.
Yeah.
What was your biggest struggle through that, changing your career again?
Uh, going back to the military, because I have a very type A personality, and
Hmm.
I'm very regiment in terms of structure, organization. Orders are given, you do it, you execute it, you don't ask questions, and that's just how the life works. Conversely, that's not how the real world works. It does to a certain degree, and this is why I think it's important to, when you're looking at trying to find your next career path in life, is really don't just shotgun effect your resumes out there. Don't just say I'm going to apply for 50 different companies. I think you really have to do some research on what is it that you want to do, and look at those companies and go, what do they have to offer? What kind of career paths do they offer? What can my career growth be? How long am I going to be able to stay here? Is this a short stint, or is this something that I can look at, staying 10, 15, 20 years and retiring from? I think those are all very important, because everybody that's been in the military has some kind of stress. They felt stress on deployments, whether it's a short-term, long-term, overseas deployment, in-country deployments, or whatever it may be. You're going to have a lot of stress that you have to deal with, and that will impact how you think. That will also impact your personal life, and also how you act professionally. So when you go into a private sector, you have to look at that the same way. It's like, you don't have to do everything if you don't necessarily want to, and it doesn't fit what you feel that is important for you and your family. And I think that's going to be very, very, very important and key for you to keep in the back of your mind. And it's sometimes it's going to be a hard decision. You're going to have like, oh, I really want to go here, but is it really a good fit for you? And I say that because it's about due diligence and work. And I know most employers, they really, really appreciate people who take time to understand the organization that you're applying to. What is it? How long they've been around, and what do they do? What's their core business, and things of that nature. And if you can attest and talk to those when you go into an interview, that's going to help you tremendously in whatever interview you go to, or whatever organization you finally pick.
Mm-hmm. Did you start that transition before you even left the law enforcement side? So what did you do while you were still working? You said you meant you had a job while you were still working in law enforcement. What other
Yeah.
kind of stuff did you do while you were still in that position to kind of find your feet in the next position?
Well, a little side note, I always like to be active. So, unknown secret, I was also a professional dart player in my spare time. I couldn't fill my time enough to do things. Like I said, I'm very active. I have to be engaged. I want challenges. So I think that helped me not only with public speaking, but my own, own self-confidence. So I that's how I literally toured the world on my vacation time and and that I had from work is
Wow.
I go play tournaments and then that's where I was received on the global stage and then became sponsored player, became marketable to the overseas market and things of that nature. So
That's
um,
amazing.
your extracurricular activities can help you find your next connection, can help you find and enlarge your network. And I think that's very important. It's not always about business, right? At the end of the day, it can turn into business, but if you just go out and network and just enjoy time and look at, hey, let me, you know, I'll give you an example. My neighborhood, I have so many people and friends that are in different industries. We never knew each other because we never talked about business. But after COVID, we got together, and 5 years later, like, oh, one of my, a few of my friends are with Rosen, which is one of the nation's largest ESOP for electrical contractors. They're both the senior leadership. No clue. My other friend is the CFO of Kaiser North America. So these are things that you don't know, and it's not always about trying to find and get into a business relationship. Just be natural and be yourself, and I think that's gonna help you a lot more when you're talking to recruiters or even an interview board.
I appreciate that little nugget, Rob, because I mean we're always telling the students, right, to go network and ask for informational interviews, but I've never really cued in on like use your hobbies and interests to, like genuinely build your network through like you did through darts. And but like do the thing. Another example on the call, Derek Welch is always meeting folks, like playing video games, right? So if you play video games, network that way. If you play darts, network that way. If you're into any other sports or any other hobbies, that's a really good point where you can grow your network. And to your point, also just make sure you're being genuine. Don't just,
Yeah.
don't just exploit people's special interests towards your network, but if it comes naturally, that makes sense. I do have one quick one. I know Kylie's
Yeah.
run this, but I got a question. So when it comes to A3 specifically, what would you say is something that you're most proud of at like during your time there so far?
You know, I it's hard to say one particular thing. I mean, in terms of my own personal growth and this organization, I think obviously aspiring and never looking to be the president of this organization, but just putting the work in. I was a ground pounder at the end when I first started here. I didn't come in at an executive level, even though I had the executive acumen and the pedigree to do it. But the relationship that we had when I first joined here, and I think this is very important, I accepted a lesser role because I didn't know this business. I didn't know our industry. I didn't know what this company did. So we had an agreement that, hey, let me explore what I can do. Let me understand what this company and organization is about. Then you can get a good sense of who I am as well. And if we're a good fit, then I can work myself. I know I can work myself into a leadership role, not an issue. And again, become president, and then we work with NBA and the last NBA All Stars. We're doing the 2026 NBA All Stars in LA at Intuit Stadium. We did the one at Chase Center. We work with the Giants, the Clippers, the Warriors. See if college football playoff national championships. You name any special event, we probably have. Our company has probably touched it over 54 years. We did 84 Olympics. Now we're bidding to be part of the 2028 Olympics here in LA as well. So again, it's and more important, I think, is when I say culture and fit is very important, and it has to fit what you want in life at the end of the day, because to be able to have the impact and influence other people's career here, which was great for me. I think that's the biggest motivator for me, was able to build teams, train them, mentor them, and also have them grow their own wings and then go to other companies, which is fantastic. And I think again, company culture is something very important that you should seek out and really look at who's involved and look at the space they play in to see if is this really what I want to do.
So one last one. Sorry, Kylie.
You're good.
I'm super interested in this. Um, I'm a really big sports nut, and I was curious, and you can say no if you want, but do you have any? I don't actually think that most of the students on the call really know what you guys do. Would you be willing
Oh
to
yeah, absolutely.
maybe share any pictures with us or anything like that? I think that would be cool.
Yep. Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, well, well, if I can just pull up the website. The easiest way to describe us, we went from basically a silk screening company to a print company, and then to what we call large format printers, which we can print up to 15-foot wide substrates, to what we now call ourselves a visual solutions company. So we do branding for special events, corporate events. We do digital technology now. We're waiting to see if we are in the Guinness Book of World Records for the largest projection mapping on Transamerica building, tower laser
Whoa.
projection mapping. So let me see if I can pull up my screen here just to show you guys. So yeah, that's what I'm saying is you never know what you're going to be able to do until you try out a company. It might not be your perfect fit, but maybe they have a lot of things that, attributes that you can associate with and then become
Mhm.
interested and then go like yeah, let's do this.
I
Can I
see
share my
some,
screen?
yeah, absolutely. I see some lighting stuff too. Do you guys do lighting
Yep.
too? Oh my
Yeah, so
God.
that's our digital, that's our immersive technology. So that was one of our great highlights. As you know, the one thing I look for in an organization is their growth and what in terms of products and their core offerings, but also what are they going to do for the future? Nothing's wrong with just having one set vertical that you're interested in doing, but the ability to have a multifaceted approach to your profession is great, because then for me it's not stale. It's like every day is literally a different project that we're working on, some of the nation's largest projects that we get to be involved in. I geek over it still to this day, but it's just like, yeah, it's my wife's like, yeah, you're just printing. I'm like, well, we're not printing, we're on the we're on the side of Chase Center, we're on the Transamerica building,
Yeah.
we're at the let me see, can you see
That's
my
okay.
screen
Mine
now?
just says that I'm wasting my whole day on Zoom. So
Yeah. If you had the pleasure, if you're in New York, we did the Macy's New York 4th of July fireworks show. We lit up the Brooklyn Bridge. Um, so yeah, it's we're just in the visual art space where we have digital technology. So what you're seeing on the screen right now, well, that's our Let's Glow, which we're getting ready to do in December in San Francisco. It's 10 days. We're on 7 buildings throughout San Francisco in the financial district, and we project
Whoa.
artists from around the world on the buildings in 3D motion art. And then we do obviously American Volleyball Professionals. TPUSA is one of our largest clients down in Miami area. So we do a lot of the Charlie Kirk Foundation. We work with them quite a lot. And this is the festivals that we do in the buildings. That's our digital projection mapping. Some really cool items. If you talk about our sizzle reels, this is the NBA All Stars. I'll turn but you can look at this yourself. But this is what we use with in San Francisco, 3D art, and then we also work with international companies where we did the story of whiskey. This is the Chase Center that we did.
that is so cool.
Those are beautiful.
We did all the Bitcoin where we did the broadcast as well, live on that project. That's the Bitcoin convention right there. But again, I never knew that this company did this. We didn't do this when I first joined, but it was like, what's the next evolution? That's what I look at when I look at organizations. It's, am I going to be able to grow here? Am I going to be stuck behind a desk? Am I going to be stuck doing one thing? And for myself personally, that was never an option. I had to have something that was meaningful and I could engage on a daily basis, that I knew that things are going to change. As the longer I stayed here, the more I'm going to see, the more I'm going to learn, and the more opportunity that I can help the company grow.
Hey
No, that
Rob,
is
how's it going? Um, I've just had a quick question for you. I was on your
Yeah.
website actually before you pulled it up. I just want to brag that I actually went and looked up your company before you pulled it up. Um, yeah, so I was looking there and I didn't see any link to careers. Maybe I was like missing kind of where that's at. Do you guys have that on your website, or how does somebody
Y-
find potential career opportunities?
Yeah, that's a great question. There's a lot of one of the things that having a family-owned business for this long that it's worked so well that sometimes you just get stuck in a rut and you don't change and update and become relevant. One of the things that many of the things I've worked with the CEO is and our executive team is becoming more relevant and um, being able to reach out to the mass market. So what we do is we normally, if we have a position open, we post on LinkedIn if we do it. Um, and we, because our industry is, it's large, but it's very small in terms of the sporting industry or if you work in the stadiums, the sports teams, or if you're working in hotels or that nature, we're working with people in the industry and everybody kind of knows everybody. So it's word of mouth for us a lot. So if we're seeking out a new salesperson or a new production manager, then we reach out to people we know in our network, say, hey, do you know of anybody? So that's kind of the first step that we take. But if we do actively post, we'll post it on LinkedIn now.
Yeah, thanks, Chris. That what Rob just said stresses how important networking is for everybody in here. He just said that their first stop is to ask his network, so take that. Timothy, what's up?
So I was basically going to ask the same type of question. I've been at Fort Lewis as well. Worked with the Rangers. Combat controller by trade in the Air Force. And I was kind of going to ask, like, what are the open positions in your company? But it sounds like it's there's not really many openings right now, if any, and you, you're pulling talent from within the industry and not from without from the
Well,
outside.
yeah, we are, but what we are looking, we always look forwards. We started a new vertical, our business development division. Actually beginning of January. We brought a VP that had left our organization. We brought him back in. He wanted to come back home, if you will, and then we started up that division. So it's a sales is what we're looking for right now is predominantly sales. But I see that Tim, you have a PMP on there, and this is where network comes in because I have such, and I've offered to Jordy and Tyler before. I have the wonderful privilege of having a massive network where I have no issues opening or at least cracking a door. Obviously, everyone in the house has to do their own legwork, but I do. If there's positions that are open, I know we had some individuals that wanted communications, and I gave them referrals to the San Francisco 49ers. In their program of who they need to contact. They're one of our clients as well, and I have some very close friends over there. Same with Rosen. I know actually one of my closest friends. He's looking for business development reps right now, and they also are looking here in the very near term, within probably the next year, they're looking for project managers. So in the construction field. So those are types of things that don't limit your network to what you feel comfortable with. Go out and expand, and Seven Eagle Group's incredible for that because they have such a pool of talented executives and businesses that they work with that somewhere somehow we're going to be able to find some resources for everyone here.
Yeah,
Things I appreciate it.
thank you so much for saying that, Rob, because a lot of people think that they're like, oh, I don't want to maybe work at A3 or I'm not interested in this, so Rob can't help me. But every individual is connected to so many different people. Like you said, all your friends are in different fields that you didn't even know. So you never know who could help you or who they're connected to who could help you. So thank you so much for bringing that up.
Yep, I see Chris has remote cybersecurity. I have friends in the security industry world that run some different organizations. So again, there's a vast network out there that don't again you never know until you ask somebody, right? And again, if we can help you out, we will.
100%. We always preach just taking that risk. Be different than the thousand other people out there who are trying to go in the field that you're in. Katie, how's it going?
Hey everybody. Hey Rob. Thanks for coming out. So here's my problem. I really like you, and I find a lot of inspiration in your story. And I was just wondering if my problem is I have a lot of questions for you, and I was wondering if at any point you were able to sit down and connect through a phone call or Zoom meeting so that I can pick your brain a little bit more in regards to how that transition piece from being in the Army has led you to this point in your life. And I just really admire that story a lot. So I really appreciate that we were able to connect this way. And overall, appreciate that Seven Eagle set this up for us. So, but that was my big question. What would be the best way to talk with you directly?
Yeah, absolutely. And I would say, you know, facilitate the conversations. I will say I'm always open, but obviously I do run an organization, but I am always there when I am able to be. And if we can set some time up, then, you know, if we can set up a, you know, half-hour call, then a Zoom, and I have no issue with doing that whatsoever, right? I'm flexible to, I'm usually up by 0500, have my 2 cups of coffee, and then I hit the hit the gym and then come back and I get to work. So if it's an earlier time, I can be available. If it's later, then again, I don't mind helping out if we can fit some time in for everyone.
Do you mind if we throw your LinkedIn in the chat, Rob?
Absolutely, yeah.
All right,
Just
sweet.
connect with me.
Yeah,
And,
appreciate that.
if you do try to connect with me, because I do have a lot of invites, so I kind of filter them out. So just say, hey, you know, with the 70 Eagle group, you know, and then that way it'll trigger me to go, okay, then I'll pay attention to that.
Also, if you guys do the end of day and mark that you want to be connected with Rob, we can send him an organized list of people that are wanting help and connections and stuff like that. That'll probably be the easiest way, but also we got his LinkedIn there, so I
Yeah,
appreciate you doing that, Rob.
Of course.
Yeah, thank you so much. And thank you for speaking up. Melvin, did you have a question? I saw your hand up. Not sure if you just dropped it because there was someone else talking.
No, I just misclicked by accident.
Okay. All right. Any
And one
other
of the other
questions?
things,
Oh, go
yeah,
ahead.
no, I would say the other thing that you have to look at is, you know, ultimately is there's, I don't know where most everyone lives here, whether you're East Coast, West Coast, or Midwest, but you know, when you're researching companies, look at the opportunity, but also look at, you know, am I going to be able to have basically a living wage, if you will? Yeah, it's great. I'm going to make $100,000. I'm going to live in San Francisco. Well, San Francisco is a very expensive market to live in, right? That doesn't go as far as, oh, I'm going to live in, you know, Houston, Texas, or in the suburbs of Texas, or in the Florida market. So again, I would say when you're looking at that, don't just look at the salary, but look at the region and the opportunities for you to grow there. And is that really going? Are you really going to be able to survive and live there? Because that's an additional stress that you can mitigate on the front end of it, versus getting there and moving yourself and your whole family and going, oh wow, did we make the right move? So it's just something to consider.
Yeah.
I think a lot of us benefit from, you know, either retirement and or disability as well. So it helps make the San Francisco's easier to live in if you get 100,000 salary on top of that. So
Yeah.
Yes.
Rob, what would you say to someone who's kind of struggling with that? So a lot of our people are struggling with, oh, I want to go into a position that pays enough to support my family, but I also want to follow my passion. Do you have any
You
advice
know,
for balance those two?
yeah, it's a delicate balancing act, if you will, because obviously there's a real reality of, hey, I have to meet my rent or my mortgage and my kids' after school curricular activities, whether it's sports programs, you know, filling the fridge, just everyday utilities, etc. To, you know, hey, I have an opportunity to grow in this business and company or this organization if I take the leap of faith. And it's going to be something you're going to have to talk to internally and reflect on an internal reflection, but also with your significant others, because, you know, they're going to be part of this if they do this transition with you. And again, you know, I'll use my example as, even though I have my I'm a VA disabled vet as well. I have my law enforcement retirement, but it's one of those, I looked at this job coming here as, okay, I know the compensation is going to be far less than what I want, but talking with my wife and my family and going, hey, there's an opportunity here. Let me do what I need to do. But you have to put the work in, right? You have to be dedicated to doing it. You can't just give it lip service. You can't go, oh, I'm 50% in or I'm 75% in. Either you're in or you're out. And if you can't make that commitment, then I would suggest maybe looking at something else to do if you're not going to be willing to be able to do that.
Yeah, 100%. You are the biggest one to affect your future. So you gotta push yourself. I was curious, what's one thing from your military career that maybe a leadership skill or any other skill that has brought you over and you're still using to this day?
You know, literally since day one, from basic training to becoming, a team leader, squad leader, it's your dedication to making sure the mission happens at the end of the day, right? And I apply all the basic principles. I have a laundry list of books back here, Good to Great. This, the Samurai Warrior behind it. Actually, I'll show you a couple of books here, just to do it. But it's just, oops, sorry, that's my hard hat. But this is my friend Joseph. Actually, I don't know if you can see it. Joseph Duckworth.
The virtual background's making it hard to.
Oh yeah. Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Here, let me turn this off here, just so you can see. Just background. I'm gonna turn it off. You're gonna see my cluttered desk back here, but it's all right.
It's for a good cause.
Yes. I can't do it. See, this is technology here.
Now it's blurred, so it's
there. It is. Okay, there it is.
There you go.
Now it's blurred. So Joseph Duckworth, The Soldier Story. This is a friend of mine I went to high school with. He's an author now, but basically talking about his PTSD and how he deals with it. So A Soldier Story is Joseph Duckworth. A good book to read is great Jim Collins. And this is about self-education, because this is one of the things I did in the military as well, is I just kept reading. I just kept learning. Leadership Challenge.
Good to Great is great. By the way, that's a great book. I just wanted to say that. That's a really good book.
Jim Collins is a great author. A lot of principles in there. It's about yourself and how do you become better. And of course, I always prescribe to The Art of the Samurai. Just a lot of these principles for me it's just about follow through. If you say you're going to do it, you do it. You don't say I can't. You figure out a way. You raise your hand. You make it happen. The other thing is, you have to remember, you don't always have to be the one to do everything at the end of the day. Having other people around you and surrounding you with different thoughts, processes, and different styles of doing things is very, very key and critical to your own professional growth. Having the same mindset and everybody on the team focusing with doing the same thing, you'll find that you'll get to a ceiling where you're not going to be able to break through. What I pride myself in is surrounding myself around with individuals that are smarter than me, are more talented than me in different avenues, which helps me grow. But then I also impart my leadership skills onto them, where it's, hey, this is what I asked, this is my demand, but I'm going to be there with you at the end of the day. And I'm here with my guys and my staff at, whether it's in the field 24 hours, I'm out there with them, rain, shine, it doesn't matter. Right. So again, from a military perspective, it's all about following through and just being there with the team members. And when whatever job you go to, they're going to see that, and you're going to start to rise to the top, right? Because there's going to be individuals that want to do the status quo, which is okay. And there's ones that are going to do a little bit more. But if you're the person that's always there, rain or shine, that they need, it'll become noticed eventually, right? It might not happen overnight, but just stick to it. And that's where I pull from the military, is just the grind and the ability to follow through and just have the dedication not to quit at the end of the day.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think everybody in this call has that, even more than their competitors that they're going to be, just kind of from the military experience. It's embedded in all of us. So I also love what you said about surrounding yourself with people that are possibly better than you in things. We had a mentor yesterday actually that said she always has her second-hand man the opposite of her. Everything that she's bad at, they're amazing at. So I really like that advice.
That's our good makeup right now. Our CEO has qualities that he can run circles around me, and they chose me because I know the operational side of things, and I'm the follow through guy. I'm the one that sets the plans in motion and executes them. So, we're yin and yang, if you will, but together we work fantastically. So it's amazing.
Yeah.
A players hire A players, and B players hire C players. Don't forget that too. So
And don't, again, it's going to be a big transition if you're already out, and if you're looking for a different career path. You're never going to have all the answers at the end of the day. It's never going to be 100% clear. And then when you think it is, and you go, no, and then you'll realize, no, it really isn't. It's okay. It's okay. Chris.
Hey Rob, since you brought up the whole books and we start showing books, I have a book that I recommend if you haven't read it.
Sure.
It's really, really good book. It's called Winning the War in Your Mind. I don't know if you've heard of it. It's by Craig Groeschel.
I have not.
Phenomenal book. He's a Christian author too, so it's based on biblical. It has a lot of biblical kind of references in there as well. And it's a good book for mindset, like how to kind of fight and win the war that's happening in your mind. Because it's a phenomenal read, and it's even on they have an audiobook version as well. It's like 5 hours, so if you don't have time to actually sit down and like read, you can do the audiobook and stuff. It's like 5 hours long, so phenomenal book. Just want to recommend that to you.
He lives right down the street from me, Chris. Craig Groeschel does, because he's in Edmond, Oklahoma, and I'm right down the street. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Oh wow, that's pretty cool.
Because he's the founder of Life Church, which is based out of Edmond, Oklahoma. So, good recommendation, Chris.
What a small world. That's amazing.
Yeah.
What was it like? I was curious. What was it like going from, so law enforcement is very black and white, and what you do now, it seems like there's a lot of in between. There's a lot of creativity and differences. Which side do you prefer?
Interesting enough, obviously there's the letter of law, and law enforcement are, duty to serve, protect, and enforce the laws. But at the same time, you have the ability to be flexible, and you can you can enrich yourselves in law enforcement. Now, I was part of our DARE program. I was part of our, I was a housing officer. So I always inserted myself in positions where I had to become a better person and self-growth in terms of learning about what's other people's problems, what other things, where I'm looking at, like literally having, I can eat and everything's taken care of on a daily basis too, where what does it mean for someone who can't? And my B partner at the time, we decided to work in our lowest income areas to understand the community. And I can say I was probably named, I was a godfather for, honorary godfather for a couple of kids there in our housing developments. And it was nice because I built a rapport, and that was where it was going from being, hey, this is black and white, this is law enforcement, I have to enforce the law, to, hey, I'm also a human being. I need to be able to become better myself and understand what does it mean to, might not know exactly what it feels like to be that person or that family in that situation, but to be able to actually not just have empathy, or actually develop empathy and understanding as a human being. Hey, we can do things differently, and it's just how you address, and that's where in law enforcement was my ability to be flexible and address different situations in a different manner. It wasn't just black and white. You're a counselor, you're a law enforcement officer, you're a psychiatrist half the time, but it's one of those things. For me, I felt law enforcement gave me the platform to actually grow my skills as a person, and my interpersonal skills, and be able to talk to people, and get the outcome I wanted and resolve the situation. And I can say in my 17 years, I've never had to, discharge my weapon on anybody. I was in situations where, being on a tactical team for 7 years, I was in very tense situations, but I never had that, and I was never in the point to where I was in internal affairs investigations. I did everything above the board, and I prided myself on that, and to just do the right thing. And again, having the badge, you had a position of authority. There's only a few people in the Constitution that allows you to take your civil liberties away, a judge and a police officer. They can arrest you and take you into custody, right? But for me, it was about learning how to, I don't have to be a hammer. I have to be a better person. And being in law enforcement allowed me to do that and just hone my skills. And I think transitioning still having the paramilitary structure and organization and what our task was, our mission, but it allowed me in the civilian world to be flexible and to understand I can do things in a different way. And I think that helped me transition into the corporate side when I went to work for Sega.
Yeah, that really shows that even though that those two things might not have inherently anything in common, like a lot of us are transitioning from completely different careers, that those skills will transfer. Even if the job has nothing to do with another one, the skills you learn from it are absolutely going to transfer to whatever you do next, what everyone else does next.
No, absolutely. Don't limit yourself. And again, those are some things that it's really is understanding what you did in the military and what your love is, and there's a way to transfer that into your CV, aka resume, to hand into an employer and get yourself prepared. And again, there's one of those things where a lot of organizations has a structured interview process where you have phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. You meet the first interview, second, then you meet your HR and panels, things of that nature. A lot of organizations are suit and tie. Some are more casual. You just have to be prepared for all the situations, and I think these are valid questions that if you're out in the job market and looking, is when you're talking to a hiring recruiters, hey, what's your expectations when we come in here? And don't just go into it as you're going into an interview, but this is your opportunity to have questions ready to interview the organization as well. This is a very important time, and organizations want you to have that interest into them, and you become the interviewer of them as well. It's very important that you realize that. Don't just leave there going, I answered all the questions, I did good. No, you should be armed and ready to ask them a whole bunch of questions about them, and they should be able to answer it.
What do you do to kind of prepare for that going into interview yourself?
It's been a long time since. It's one of those things. Again, you have to look at, there's the basic core questions. Obviously, what's the compensation, what's the benefits, things of nature. What are my job roles? But again, I think if you're applying for a certain job, then or you need to be able to ask, what's my JD? What's my job description? What are the expectations of this job? What's the career growth look like? I know I'm starting on a junior level. Is there a management growth potential in here? And where does that lead me in this organization? And how do you also develop individuals in the organization to become leadership eventually one day? These are very key questions I think everybody should ask, because it'll give you a sense. If somebody can't tell you what your career path and your growth will be and what it will look like in an organization, it might be something you should consider. At the end of the day, is this a company I really want to go work for? Right?
Yeah, I think that's a huge important question for us, especially because a lot of us are going to have to start at a lower level than expected. A lot of people in this call are senior leaders, and they might have to step down a notch just because they're going into a different life. They might have the experience, but it's definitely a different experience. So asking about that career progression is super important.
No, absolutely. And again, it's and I wouldn't look at it as a step down. I would look at it as an opportunity at the end of the day, opportunity to prove yourself to the organization. You can go from a large organization and go into a smaller one and excel. You can go from a smaller organization to a larger organization, maybe not excel as much, right? Because you have more competition. So again, these are all things that you have to look at, and don't ever look at something as a step down. Look at it as a learning opportunity and a chance for your own professional and personal growth. That's how I would look at it.
I really like that, kind of turning it around to a more positive thing rather than, like you said, it's not taking a step down. I just have one more question. So if anybody else has any other questions, please raise your hand as I'm asking my last one. I just kind of wanted to end it off with asking of it's a broad question, but what's some advice that you have for everybody that's going through this transition, and you've made it multiple times out of the military and out of different careers? What's your one key advice for these guys?
It's hard. It's hard to just say one single item that's very important.
Yeah.
But I would say being very transparent with yourself and truly honest about what you want A. B, if you're in a relationship and have significant others, to ensure that you include them. Do not exclude them from decision making, because I think it's you're this is going to be a very stressful time for you, because you're going to want something. Why am I not getting this job? Why did I go through this interview and I got a no? And then 10 times down the road it happens again, and the 11th time, 12th time. You can't look at those. It's going to happen. I hope it doesn't, but you got to prepare yourself that that could be a reality, and having that realization and openness with yourself that I might not succeed today, but tomorrow's a new day. That's why I say every day is Friday for me, right? Every day is a great day. The glass is half full at the end. You have to look at every aspect of like that, and just be open and transparent, and with your partners. And when you're feeling frustrated, just talk about it. And again, I would say, you know, physically fit, keep yourself in good shape. And it doesn't mean you have to go run marathons, but you will see that by being able to work out, at least being, and have a regiment routine. Like I said, I wake up 5 o'clock, have my 2 cups of coffee, go to gym, and I start my work. Right? It's a routine for me, but by doing that, you get to release your stress, you get to have a moment to yourself, peacefulness, but also you're doing something good for your mind and body. And when your mind's good, your body's good, everything else will follow behind it. So just just take everything in stride. And again, don't just do blast emails, blast CVs and resume job applications. Really focus down to maybe 5 or 10 organizations that you want to really try to work with, and then from there peel it back to dive deep and have your A list, and of companies that you want to try to interview for, and really look at what do they do and truly understand, because the more knowledge you have about them, I guarantee you will make an impression over everyone else in the room that doesn't have knowledge of that company.
Yeah, I really like the starting the day off on a good note thing. I think if you start your day, even if it's working out, making your bed, doing one thing productive, it's a lot easier to have more wins throughout the day if you just start with that one thing.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, that is all I had. Thank you so much for coming today, Rob. I really enjoyed listening to your story. I think everyone else did, based off the interaction. So we really appreciate having you here today.
Yeah, and I appreciate everyone else here too. And again, I'm sincere about it. I know we have a lot of different people from QA from here, from IT, from project management on the call as well. Even if you're in the medical programs, I'm not saying I could connect you with a lot of people, but I literally have at least some insight, and I can maybe connect you with somebody that you can discuss with. They might have some free time to talk to with you and help you guide through that process. And trying to find your next path. So
yeah, everyone, please, if you hear that and you want to connect with Rob and talk to him or get in contact with his connections, put it on the end of day survey. Say that you want to talk to Rob, and we will get you in connection with him.
I also want to say, Rob, before you leave, number one, thank you so much for taking the time out of what I can only imagine as an incredibly busy day to be with us and to provide some insight for the students. And just one last little tiny note: your office is way cleaner than you made it seem like when you were turning off your background. I expected it to be a mess, and it's like pristine.
Yeah, no. And my pens are, yeah.
Oh, his pens are not online.
Your pens are out of the cup holder. Uh-oh.
Yeah.
But
seriously, thank you so much. I really appreciate it, and we always enjoy having you on here. So
yeah, and again, I thank you guys. I'm very, very sincere. If you want to have an honest conversation and have at least some constructive feedback on your next steps, then I'm here to help and just give you that little sense of honesty when you're getting ready to prepare yourself for your next role.
Thank you so much for that, and have a wonderful rest of your day. Have a great Friday today.
All right, thank you, everybody.